Yo, what is up guys, it's me Eva again here, and in today's video we're gonna talk about the Tokyo Ghoul Break the Chains, the Aogiri team. The team that was actually demolishing the whole meta for a long time when the game just came out. Currently again, obviously the team full on got a lot of redos, a lot of more characters, and currently it looks much more different than it used to look like in the beginning of the game. So in today's video we're going to talk about the main meta teams, the other options that you have in the Aogiri, as well as the whole build, how does it look, everything about the Aogiri. So obviously the main team looks kind of like this. I think after the buff that these two characters got, so the new Tatra, the old Tatra got a buff, as well as the new Jason, both of them got a pretty good amount of buffs. So I think those do look like very decent contenders. In terms of overall how the characters are looking like right now, as well as they do bring a lot of more buffs into the team. So because of that, I do think they're good in the Aogiri with, like, compared to every other unit in there. So again, there's a lot of different variations depending on how much investments do you have. Whales do sometimes give preferences to the carnival characters compared to more so like low spenders who have more preferences to the characters that are like the free-to-play, more free-to-play options when you have the standard banner characters. So they do give a preferences to those. So obviously the Jason is going to be your main piece, who is the main damage dealer in the whole team. He's definitely the unreplaceable option in the Aogiri, because you do need him to be competitive versus some of the teams like Anteiku, for example, who have the towns and they do neglect for the most part the Psy Ayato, because he uses his passive to proc on the towns, and because of that Jason is compared to that as much the biggest like winner in that, because he has the bypass for the towns, so he doesn't give a fuck. And because of that, this is the main piece of Aogiri, as well as he's an extremely big damage dealer, might be the best in the Aogiri. Again, there is a very strong build on Centipede as well that could do a shit ton of amount of damage, but mainly the Jason is the main piece of Aogiri, as well as he does need less less damage, as well as less investments to be good compared to Senti. So the main pieces here, Jason, Tatra, the new Jason, who was actually did become a meta, the Easter Ayato, who's also a huge support for the whole Aogiri setting, and as well as the Combat Kaneki still is going to be your main piece. Again, even after the nerf, he did get a huge nerf for him, like mainly not only for him, but for the whole team, because he now doesn't buff as much as he used to be in terms of attack. But he's still a main piece because you just don't have any other options in terms of Aogiri units for the backup. The only other option you have the Naki, obviously, but Naki is not even close to how good the Combat Kaneki buffs are for the whole team. For like Naki, he basically only buffs, gives you a little bit of healing, and then also gives you a little bit of pen rate, if I'm not wrong, on his 3rd star, and that's it. And Combat Kaneki is definitely much more viable in that sense. So this is how the main team looks like. Let's talk about the options that you have. So another option that I see a lot of people use is actually having the whale type of team, when you have both of the carnival characters, and as well as both of them on a very big amount of investments. This is working for sure also fine, but again, if you're facing Anteiku, then that's where the Psy Ayato kind of loses a lot of value, because his cheap damage is always going to go into that, maybe like, or if they're using green owl, it's going to go for the green owl. If they're using red Toka, it's going to go for the red Toka, and because of that he does lose a little bit of value, because he just does the damage basically to those units that are basically unkillable and like the hardest ones to kill from the Anteiku team, and because of that he does lose a lot of value because of that. Another also option is I saw people switching up like either Jason here or the Easter Ayato. They switching up for Senti, and they do have the Senti on like triple S, as well as like he maxed out on his build. Everything like is basically maxed out, and then this is like the full-on whale type of Aogiri, sorry, that you can use, is having these both as your main DPS. He's gonna be in these two as like he's the only buffer here, or like the if you're using Easter Ayato, also gonna be your main buffer, and the Psy Ayato here is just for the some cheap damage that he can do. He can apply after each attack of the Aogiri unit. So this is the basically options that you have for the main teams. There's obviously the free-to-play friendly versions with like when people use Ito, they do use, for example, Ayato here, the Tatara here over the Jason, and this is somehow like a not really good option. Again, all of the Ayato does fall off a little bit later on, as well as this team will probably not be able to one-shot a fully built Anteiku or a fully built CCG as well, and obviously they do have less CP than probably the fully built CCG, so you're probably most likely gonna get one-shotted before you even will get a chance to do anything. The same goes for the Anteiku. They have a lot of gut cells now, so even the units that were like not used because of their CP disadvantage now are used in sense, like Ryoko, for example, wasn't used too much in before because she didn't have the gut cell. Now with the gut cell she does get a lot of use, and because of that this type of Anteiku does fall off. But in the early game, this could be the way for you to actually play it. If you're really interested in Anteiku and you want to build it, I would recommend going for this probably. But again, do remember that this is going to fall off, especially if in TGA, for example, side, if you're not going to get Jason, you might as well forget about Aogiri existing, because without Jason there is no point in playing Aogiri in the end game, as well as you need to have Jason at least on D as well. So that's a big amount of investments to do for you to even try playing Aogiri there. So with that done, we can now go and see what are the builds that you want to have on the characters. So obviously you want to have RC cells on everyone, and you want to have them on a decent basic stats. So you want to have on every stat here, so obviously it's going to be attack for attack, defense for defense, and HP for HP. You want to go for at least 3 of them. So in auctions, the maximum amount of you can get of the basic stats, you're not going to get the full 4 of them. You're only going to get at max 3 of them. So you want to go for those. You don't want to go for those that have, for example, only 2 HP stats, and then there's like 2 random here, like a restoration rate or something. You don't want to go for those. You want to go for full 3 HP, and the last one doesn't matter. So the same goes for defense, and the same goes for attack. This is how it's gonna go for everyone in the all of the characters, not only in Aogiri, like just in general for all of the characters in the Tokyo Ghoul. So in terms of the modifiers, there's 2 options that you have on all of the characters that you will be using as well, like on every team, not only on Giri. It's gonna be, you're gonna be using the buff removal, as well as you're gonna be using disrupt. So disrupt you put on all of the units that are single target. So Jason is gonna be a single target, this Jason is also single target, so you put the disrupt on them. And on the AoE units, you most want to put the buff removal. So again, you're gonna put this on those who are starting first before, for example, going for Jason. You're usually gonna go and debuff them with the buff removal, and then you're gonna go and buff and do the damage with Jason. Usually like this how it goes, because again, Ayato does buff the damage as well as just debuffs the enemies, and because of that, Jason does do more damage after the Ayato himself attacks. Because of that, again, buff removal on him, for example, is a really good option, or having a buff removal on Tatara as well, if you're going to be using him first, is also not the worst idea. Also, the Tatara did get buff on his Forbidden, so now he can apply the Forbidden or with his 1-star skill, so that's another good option for you if you want to debuff the enemies their skill levels. So because of that, again, buff removal could work very well on him as well. So in terms of the potentials that you want to have on the Aogiri is gonna be, this is gonna be the same set for basically everyone. You're gonna have Initiate and you're gonna have Smash. So for the most part, Initiate and Smash are gonna be your options, because Initiate does buff the, as you can see, when the battle starts, increases basic stats by 6% for 2 turns. So you want to go and get this to fullest, so 6 piece. And because of the 2 turns, again, Aogiri is not a tank team, so they don't survive more than a few turns. If you don't kill the enemies in like basically 3 turns, especially versus Aogiri, or sorry, versus Anteiku, you're dead after 3 turns. Because that's when the Hinami buffs the whole team, it gives them skill levels, and you're probably one-shotted from that point on. So because of that, you go for 6 piece, you try to, and you need to kill them in at least 2 turns. Like, if you can kill them in 1 go, that would be nice, but if you can't, then 2 turns is your max amount of time you get to kill the enemy team. Otherwise, you're dead. The same goes for CCG. For Smash, again, it's just good to have the combination at least of 2. Depending on your investments into your potentials, you could go for 4 of them. But again, 2 piece is still good enough, so you can just do a full 6 Initiate and a 2 Smash on there, and that's gonna be enough. So this is how you want to build those. You want to do this on every character. Again, this is because you just want to have as much of the damage as possible in the early game, so you can one-shot. Again, Aogiri doesn't survive more than like 1 or 2 attacks on them, because they don't have any survivability. They're not tanky at all. They're all full-on DPS units, and because of that, this is how you want to do this. So you go for that on all of them and try to do it. Obviously, on some of the supports, you can put, for example, if you're using someone like Sen there in your team, you can put the Undermine on her. You don't need the Initiate on her. You can just put Undermine plus something there, like even Patent as a filler one. Sure, it could work, or maybe like an Initiate with only 3 piece and Undermine for a full piece. So that's fine, but mostly on everyone else, you do want to have a full-on Initiate, because again, that's the most amount of power you can get for the first 2 turns. So this is how it looks. So now we're gonna see in terms of potentials, what do you want to do with the, like, what type of potential you want to use. So there is 3 types of potentials. There is reds, there is yellows, and there is the green ones. Green ones HP, yellow ones defense and attack are the red ones. So on all of the damage dealers, you want to go for red. So basically almost all of the Aogiri want to have a full-on red on them. So Jason, you go only reds. You don't go any yellows or HP ones either. You only go reds. Him also red, also red. He can be a little bit more diverse. So if you have a really strong defense one, so for example, you used all of your reds on these 3, so you don't have now any like options to go for the red one, so you have a more options for the yellow type of potentials, then you can put a full-on defense on him. It also works, but again, then he gonna lose a little bit of value in terms of attack. For the backup, again, you're gonna use the yellows as well for defense. So it's defense is all right for the backup for the most part. You can put that, but also you can definitely go for the red on the combat Kaneki. It's not the worst idea either. So again, on all of the DPS, Ayato is red, Jason red, Tatara red. This could be diverse. This is red. All of the other options as well for Aogiri, Centipede is red. The Ito here is the only, again, on all of the supports you want to have the Undermine as well. So Undermine potential, you could put the defense of her. She doesn't need any damage, so red doesn't give any value for you. So you put yellow on her as well. Jason is red as well because he can do some damage with his passive. The new ISO, again, you don't use him in the team, but if you want to use him, then just put the red on him as well. Noro, if you, for example, for those who are just starting the game and you don't have any options to put any good characters in there, Noro also full on red as well. So this is almost every character in the Aogiri is gonna be red. Again, this is how you want to build them. In terms of potentials, I did say everything. Don't forget that you do need to get all of their weapons, because weapons do give a big value. So you do need those weapons exclusive skills. If you don't want to miss those weapons that as well as those effects that they do give. So try to roll your keys on them and try to get all of their weapons if you're going to be using that. As well as for what type of ultimate you're going to be using. You're going to be using the Might of Awaken. Again, as you can see here, increased damage dealt for enemies with Aogiri characters by 5%. So again, this is the best one for Aogiri that you have. So you're going to go for this. This is a full defense buffer type of ultimate, so you're going to go for it. So this is how you basically want to build Aogiri. What are all of your options and stuff like that. Other than that, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, as well as tell me if you're gonna be building Aogiri, or if you have any questions, you also can leave them there. Also, you can join the Discord and ask those questions in there if I'm maybe like don't have time to answer them. People in the Discord can also try to help you with your questions. As well as hopefully you will tune in for the streams. I do stream every day. We play Tokyo Ghoul as well as other gacha games sometimes. So if you don't want to miss those, you can join the Discord, because I post notifications for those all the time, so you don't miss anything. And hopefully you have a great day. I'll see you on the next one.